I love Debbie Reynolds, I really like Brittany Murphy, and I'm a fan of Martin Mull, who appears briefly in this as well. So I really wanted to like Zack and Reba. Unfortunately, I didn't think it was very good. And there are specific reasons for that. It wasn't just a general feeling. Sometimes there are films that you just didn't enjoy. But there were things in this that stood out to me as being things that I could point to saying, I wish you'd done that differently. According to IMDb, it's a comedy romance, a rom-com. And technically, yes, but it wasn't funny. It was slightly morbid, and I love anything that's dark and morbid and where it kind of laughs at things that are a little bit creepy. And that side of it, it was weird. It's a weird film. I'll explain what it's about, but I won't give any spoilers just in case you decide to watch it, because specifically if you're a fan of Debbie Reynolds, her performance in this was brilliant. Her hair is amazing. I love her character. This was released in 1998, directed by Nicole Bettauer, written by Stapleton, and of course we have Brittany Murphy playing Reba. Debbie Reynolds plays a character called Beulah, and I have to say she is absolutely fantastic. I'll read the description from IMDb, which sums it up pretty well without really giving any spoilers whatsoever. This says, two young adults who are coping with the deaths of their partners try to move forward with their lives and start a relationship with each other. Now, one of these partners is dead before the film even begins. The other partner, Reba's partner, dies at the beginning of the film in an interesting way, a way that may be triggering if you've lost a loved one to a very similar way. It is done in a way that's quite comedic. I didn't personally find it funny, but it is doing it in a way that's meant to be light-hearted. And I think, credit to the film, it handles death very well. The entire film is about death. We have characters who are working as grave diggers, and a lot of this is set in graveyards, in the church, at various different services, and obviously both partners are constantly being reminded of or thinking about their deceased loved ones. So for me, as a fan of comedy surrounding death, usually I prefer if it's something where there is a spiritual element, such as The Frighteners, but that aspect of it I thought worked well and it was interesting. But where I felt like it let itself down, two things. The first is just the narrative. I generally found the pacing to be quite dull. It clung on to parts of it for far too long, and it didn't really move forward at a rate that I considered to be, a good rate. And the other thing I didn't like were the characters. Now, I'm not talking about Beulah. I really liked Beulah. I thought Debbie Reynolds was fantastic. I have major hair envy. Absolutely love the character. She's definitely very quirky. Zack, I didn't mind so much. Zack's played by Sean Patrick Flanery. The character I wasn't that interested in, but I didn't dislike him. But Reba, played by Brittany Murphy, obviously a very well acted character. I think Brittany Murphy, it was quite mesmerising at any point. But to be perfectly honest, I found her character to be really annoying. I don't know if she was meant to be. I don't know if that was actually intentional or if that's just how I perceived the character. But I really did not like Reba, and therefore I kind of didn't really care about her grief, which sounds awful, but when you're not emotionally invested in a character, and it is a comedy, it's hard to kind of feel for them. But I also didn't care about her relationship with Zack and how that kind of developed and what was going to happen there, and it kind of meant that the film wasn't that interesting. So when the narrative was slow, if Beulah was on screen, I was kind of engaged. But otherwise, I just didn't think it was very interesting at all. Would I recommend it? If there are currently no pull factors at all, if you're not interested in any of the cast, or, if you're not familiar with the director's work and you're not a fan of their work, then I'd say don't bother. But if there's anybody in the cast you're a particular fan of, then give it a go. If there's at least something in it, then I'd say it's worth watching. But generally, Zack and Reba was a bit of a disappointment.